I read a piece that was like you had no formal art education, and you first laid hands on a canvas in 2017. So I'm really curious, like out of everything you could decide to paint, why did you decide mysticism, the psychedelic realm, and venturing into more sort of spiritual things?
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Yeah, at the beginning, the mysticism and slash esoteric practices was the way how I use art to communicate. The art is one of the languages, personally for myself, the best languages I felt could be used to interpret invisible. So at the beginning, it was mysticism, mystical art, or whatever people call psychedelic art. Over the years, I re-identified myself, or mostly I rediscovered many other things, that my mystical practices, my mystical art, psychedelic art has a lot of science in it as well at the same time. And I've been doing this since, as you mentioned, since 2017, which is already over 8 years. And over this 8 years, it was a great journey. I make art every single day. Even when I do not paint, I still make art, because of the best ideas first comes in, towards your invisible consciousness, which is not, and only then you lay those on a canvas or on a sculpture. So now I more re-identified myself into scientifically mystical art. Because for us, in order to see the reality in more true color, if there is a true color, is seeing the coin from the both sides, seeing the light and the dark, seeing the good and bad, and all the shades of it. So the start was very mystical. But over the years, I was fascinated by science, and I was fascinated by science since the childhood. So the nature is my education, my greatest teacher. And as any scientist or any mystic who ever walked this earth, I believe paid attention and found a lot of answers, paying attention to the under the feet or in the sky, which is paying attention to the nature.
I'm really interested in like your creative process and like theories of creativity and what it means to be an artist and all of that. Before we go into those more abstract topics, I think we should ground this conversation in your personal story, right? Because everyone starts in life the same, right? We're a baby and we're very fresh to the world, right? And I'd love to know some of the key moments on that story arc, going from you as a child, as a teenager, whatever, to being like a non-psychedelic user and a lack of awareness of this world, to the person that you are now, doing what you are now, interested in the things you're interested in now. And yeah, what are the key sort of experiences or influences that molded you in this particular direction?
Thank you. Yes, of course. I will try to be very short on that because, as you know, the time is limited, and to suppress over 30 years of life experience, really quick, boom, let's start it. As far as I remember myself, in the age of 6 years old, my first books, which is I laid my hands on, and for some unconscious, subconscious reason, I was curious to read, wasn't books about the animals my mom was trying to offer me to. Hey, this is what you have to pay attention to, but I spent my summers in my grandfather's house. It's like a village, nature, all those type of things. So my grandpa, he was a healer in some way. And I was curious to steal books from him because he had a bunch of, he has like a library in his room back then. And I was curious what he has on the higher shelf, on the top of the shelf of the book. What is those books? So I was stealing them and I was, reading those things. I was not really knowing what I am dragging myself into. So instead of learning about animals, and like things which is child should, I was possessing my consciousness more with questions about philosophical questions, like who are you? What are you doing here? What is going on with this planet? And then I was started being passionate about the magic and mystical practices and quantum physics and quantum mechanics and and psychology and everything what I could lay my hands on to try to actually answer those questions. What is happening here? What is all this about? What I have this experiences. There's all these people around me. What is the reality about? So I was reading anything what could somehow bring me closer to some kind of answers, which is to the answers, which is I was searching for. This is the one point. After that, I'm from Ukraine, so I'm from Ukraine, and my parents still there. I grew up between city and a smaller village, and I, in the age of 12, I became a member of Moscow private scientifically mystical organization. It's called Ecology of Thought by LP Troyan. I've been there part of for 4 years. I've been 12 years old. I want to mention that. And there is people who usually been members of that organization as elders. It's like 60 plus, and there's me and my brother, my friend, who was also very passionate about like crazy subjects of life, which is people usually curious about closer to their late stage in life, So I kind of started from the back, from the end, So I've been a part of that, which has truly impacted my consciousness and my evolution as a human being. Also, I was really interested in entrepreneurship at the same time. So because I've been in a small village, I was reading people's biographies a lot. I was curious how someone was able to achieve a certain level of success or certain level of knowledge. So I was picking up biographies of a bunch of successful people and just was like a sponge, reading everything what I could. Because I had a little difficult childhood. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 6 years old. So it took me on the path of become a grown up man super early. So, I had to be a man for my mom, for her, and she was 7 days a week. I could not ask her for financial assistance and help. So I had to figure out how to make money very early in my age. Then when I finished the high school, I got to I choose to study in Aerospace University in Ukraine, in Kharkiv. I used that university for a program, which is United States enrolled. It was cultural exchange program. Visa existed. It had a name J1. So on the second year, only on the second or third year of education and university, you're able to apply it. And if you smart and good enough, you flew to US for 4 months and, you kind of work here, you travel here. But my plan was come and stay, to be honest. But why I did all of that? Because since the early childhood, I had a stream of visions or very, very vivid imagination, which is, I've seen things which is look so real as this reality. That also was one of the points why I was questioning everything around myself. I was questioning reality at the same time. So in the same time, that's why my desire to study this, not typical, not traditional practices at the same time.
I just want to jump in quickly here. Could you, because this is a very interesting point, could you describe what those visions were? And, were they when you were a child? And how did you interpret those as a child? Because I guess before you get to a certain age, you might not even realize that that's odd. It's just your experience.
Absolutely. You are 100% correct, man. And I had a bunch of different type of visions, but when they came, when I was possessed by them, let's call it this way, back when I was a child, that was very uncomfortable. It felt painful. It felt that my consciousness being taken away from my physical vessel and was drugged somewhere else. So I've been in two places at the same time. Let's say 10% of your self-realization here in your physical form on this planet, but 90% temporary goes somewhere else. That's how it felt. And it felt extremely disrupting. It felt uncomfortable. It felt sucks, So, and of course I fucking cried back then. I just didn't know. So my mom was started bringing me to shamans and to Eastern European healers. Like, yeah, we have to help him out, like, you know, but not really anybody could figure out what is going on. That's the life journey, right? That's on you already to figure out. What the visions was about? Well, I've seen all kinds of stuff. I've seen, like, now I would say, because I understand a little bit more, that I almost seen the fourth dimensional space. It's very complex, imaginary or realities which could be invisible on this plane of existence, or they can be visible in certain mystical practices or during the certain psychedelic experiences as well. So that happened to me without knowing anything about the psychedelics or the medicine, or, you know, it was natural and organic. And the visions was, I mean, I've seen destruction of the world, you know, and that felt not nice. And I also have seen, to be very sure, like existence on other planets. And once again, everything what's happening is a great mystery, and we don't really know. But that was realistic enough for me to see that and experience that. And then over the years, become an artist and like finding like, oh, hold on a second. So that comes in from that source, you know, what I'm making now somehow connected to that realm, but I learned how to manage that and learn how to navigate that space.